it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Zwicker?
Here.
Ms. Breyer?
Here.
Mr. Prince?
Here.
Mr. Person?
Here.
Ms. Palmer?
Here.
Mr. Corman?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all present.
Thank you. First item on the agenda are two proclamations.
Proclamation, Community Planning Month. Whereas all communities are subject to constant change and community planning can help manage this change in a way that provides better choices for how people work and live, and whereas community planning provides an opportunity for all residents to be meaningfully involved in making choices that determine the future of their community. And whereas the full benefit of planning requires public officials and citizens who understand, support, and demand excellence in planning and plan implementation, and whereas the month of October is designated as National Community Planning Month throughout the United States of America and its territories, and whereas the American Planning Association and its professional institute, the American Institute of Certified Planners, endorse National Community Planning Month as an opportunity to highlight the contributions sound planning and plan implementation make to the quality of our communities and environment. And whereas the celebration of National Community Planning Month gives us the opportunity to publicly recognize the participation and dedication of our Planning Commission members and other citizen planners who have contributed their time and expertise to the improvement of the City of Renton. And whereas we recognize the many valuable contributions made by the professional community planners of the City of Renton and extend our heartfelt thanks for the continued commitment to public service by these professionals. Now therefore I, Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton, do hereby proclaim October 2012 to be Community Planning Month in the City of Renton in conjunction with the celebration of National Community Planning Month. In witness whereof, I've hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Renton to be affixed this first day of October 2012, signed Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Zwicker.
Move the council adopt the proclamation as read.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Zwicker, seconded by Ms. Breyer. The council adopt the proclamation as read. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Chip, are you here to receive this?
Yeah, I was, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you very much for this proclamation. I expected our chair of the Planning Commission, Michael Drollinger, to be here to receive it, but in his absence, if I can ask that you provide it to Martin Reagan, who's also a member of our Planning Commission, who is here this evening, as well as Michael Chen walking in right behind him. And I'm sure that Michael Drollinger is not too far behind. Come on up, Michael.
Sure. Gotta come up here.
Walk in behind your
Yeah,
Standing in
immediately in
front
front of the
the
photographer.
Okay, we're good. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. Okay, Bonnie, go ahead with our second proclamation.
Proclamation. Whereas domestic violence and the health and safety of our families is an important concern for the citizens of the Renton community, and all are affected by the fear, heartbreak, and cost of domestic violence. And whereas bringing an end to domestic violence and the physical, psychological, and spiritual damage it can cause women, children, men, the elderly, families, and other victims is the responsibility of the entire community. And whereas approximately 20% of abused women seek emergency treatment and 30% of all murders committed against women in the state of Washington are a result of domestic violence. And whereas domestic abuse is also a crime against children, since most severe child abuse occurs in the context of domestic abuse and usually follows the abuse of a woman. And whereas, in addition to countless physical injuries, broken families, and damaged lives, domestic abuse consumes substantial human resources in terms of loss of dignity, self-worth, independence, and productivity, as well as other resources necessary for enforcement and prosecution, as well as for protection and rehabilitation of both the victims and the perpetrators of domestic abuse. And now, therefore, I, Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton, do hereby proclaim October 2012 to be Domestic Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. In witness whereof, I've hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Renton to be affixed this first day of October 2012, signed Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Taylor.
I move that this proclamation be adopted as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Taylor, seconded by Mr. Corman, that this proclamation be adopted as read. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It's my pleasure to present this to Tina Harris, who's our domestic violence advocate.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I have present with me today some of our Domestic Violence Task Force members in the audience. I also have with me today Pastor Ken Coleman, who's going to just be speaking briefly about an award that the Men's March Against Domestic Violence received from the King County Take Action Award Committee. So he's going to speak briefly on that. Then we're going to turn over the floor to the Scholl family. They'd like to say a few words on behalf of their daughter, Jessica Scholl. And as you exit the building today, we do have the silhouettes in the lobby. If you can take some time in a moment to take a look at those. And then we do have the purple lights on display in honor of the victims that have passed before us, our current residents that are victims of domestic violence, and for anyone else that is experiencing this tragedy in their home. So thank you.
Thanks, Tina.
Mr. Mayor and council members, I'm really pleased to announce, I just found out last week that the Men's March, it's been marching in Renton River Day Parade for 10 years now, with 80-plus men marching every year, and it's getting larger every year, that we won this Take Action Award from King County Coalition Against Domestic Violence, and I'm proud that I can help represent this city and have the support of the city behind me when we do this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken, very much, and congratulations. Well received.
Hi, my name is Shannon Harvey, and I'm the aunt of Jessica Scholl. The tragic loss of Jessica has been extremely difficult on our family, and we wanted to address Renton City Council today to express our gratitude to the many people in Renton who've provided support and comfort to our family. To the Renton Police and Fire Department, for their tireless work and care of Jessica, remembering that she was not just a victim, but a daughter and someone that many people loved. Their professionalism and humanity spared us unmentionable pain and suffering, and we know that they hurt with us. We're grateful for their bravery in doing their jobs, and we're also thankful for the detectives and commander for meeting with us, briefing us, and keeping us informed and showing us that Jessica was a priority. We're also grateful to Mayor Dennis Law for taking the time to visit the site as the police and fire were doing their jobs and showing genuine show of concern for our family. And finally, to Tina Harris, our domestic violence victims advocate, who's been a godsend. She's grieved with us and worked tirelessly to ensure that we were informed and supported. As Jessica's family, we ask that you consider what types of information can be provided to families, helping them know what domestic violence look for as they can look for in their children's relationships. Education is the way to help stop this type of tragedy from happening in the future. Additionally, we ask that you continue to fund the domestic violence victim support. We can't imagine having done this without it, and I don't know how many cities have this, but we could not have navigated the system without it. So we appreciate Tina Harris and the council's, the city's support for that program. again, we thank Renton for the amazing work that's occurring to support families.
Thank you very much for being here tonight. We appreciate it. Okay, we're moving on to an appeal. Mr. Prince.
The Planning and Development Committee has committee report.
Planning and Development Committee report, Galloway at the Highlands appeal. The Planning and Development Committee recommends that the full council find that the hearing examiner committed no errors of fact or law in this matter and that his decision be affirmed. This is signed by the 3 committee members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince.
I move that the council concur with the recommendation of the Planning and Development Committee.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Prince, seconded by Mr. Corman, that council concur with the recommendation of the Planning and Development Committee. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, we don't, I believe, have an administrative report, so we'll move on to audience comment. We have a couple people signed up to address the council. When I call your name, please come to the podium and give your name, city of residence for the record, and you have 5 minutes. Beth Asher.
Hello, it's Beth Asher, of course, and the city of residence is Renton. And I just wanted to ask, well, first I wanted to say thank you because Terry Higashiyama really worked like a beaver and she got the input from the citizens library update meeting right up on the website, which was great. Now my question is, where did it go? Because we would like to know what the output will be, what the response will be to that. And is there any response so far that you all are aware of?
I'm not aware that we've received any, but we can check on that and get back with you on it.
And then I guess the second, oh,
Yes,
go ahead,
Ms.
Terry.
Barrett.
Well, I just had talked to Terry about it earlier this evening, and she shared with me that that's the information that they needed so that they could put the agenda together for the next meeting.
Oh, great.
So that they'll be dividing that into 2 topics for the next meeting and then 2 topics for the meeting after that.
And are they going to let the residents have the question-answer format they wanted, or are they going to force them to the scribble boards again? Do you know that?
No, I don't think they'll do the format again, but you know, they needed to do that to try and get all the information from people of where their concerns were, so that now that they know where the concerns are, then they can do an agenda for the meeting that
I know, because you can condense. You can see that one question got asked like a million times or something and go, oh, we can address this one.
Right, so now they can see what the most
Yeah.
important things are that everybody wants to talk about, so.
Okay.
So that's
Thank you.
An off-the-cuff comment.
Okay.
No, that's great, though, because there's some output, because when it's on
Right.
the website, there's no blogability, so there's no way to go back
Yeah.
and forth, so.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Next is Beatrice Clark.
Hello to each of you. I'm Beatrice Clark, and I first made an appearance here in December of last year, and I brought some issues to your attention regarding the King County Library System that had carried over from before we annexed with King County Library, and they dealt with racism. And I guess that topic is just so excessive that it seemed to have paralyzed the process or the progress that should have been made by now in responding. Instead, as of July, I found out that after I had appeared here that I had sent an email to Councilman Randy Corman that we responded cordially regarding, and I had copied it to the mayor. And I was very disappointed when the mayor, Dennis Law, Mayor, did what I considered racial coding on the email, because it tags that email as being something that needs to be paid a special attention to, and he put FYI and forwarded it to Mr. J. Covington, and I guess FYI wasn't sinister enough for him, and he changed the subject to information for your files and forwarded it to the city attorney, Larry Warren, and nothing in that email had anything to do with any of those 3 people. And then when I got the copies, I didn't request these copies because I did not know they existed, but in a public records request regarding something else, this is what I got back, and their comments are blotted out. So since then, I found, and when I first spoke about this, I compared this to Homeland Security type of action. And since then, I know that a couple of you went to hear Benny Thompson, who spoke on racism in Homeland Security, and I would hope from that you would garner the strength to deal with these racial issues and not panic and send out emails that you have to block out your statements, because I see from an article August 31st that there were some emails going around, I guess, in another department, but it was all City Hall, and it said that those emails could be viewed as racist or biased towards some individuals. And I'm just wondering if the comments they blotted out might not be racist and biased towards me. And if you all can't find the wherewithal, or you don't have the authority to send these documents out in clean copy, there are ways to find out what is in these emails. And I just wanted to call that to your attention and ask the question, is there any of you up there who can deal with these situations, or who feel that it's of concern? Nobody?
Well, Mrs. Clark, if you can just provide us with particular questions you'd like somebody to come back and respond to, we'd be happy to do that. They're not likely to try to facilitate something over, from the dais here without having.
No, I didn't mean from the dais, but we're in August now, and I came here in December, and that's a long time to get reactions but no responses. And I also have responses that came out after I came back here in February that I will bring to your attention. And that's all is, the frantic emails, the panic emails is all that I have received. And that not because I knew they existed, but they came to me because of other information that I was seeking. So I'm going to leave that with you, and I will detail this again. I submitted the documentations, but I feel that the council, you're dealing with King County Library System, that racism needs to be looked into. And if you really want to know what's going on, go into the libraries, and you won't see people like me even working there. If you do, they're few and far between. And that's another issue that's pointed towards the racism that's going on in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the consent agenda. We have 6 items for council consideration. Are there any items the council member would like pulled?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Zwicker.
First, I'd like to pull item F.
Okay.
And then with that, I make a motion for the council to concur in the consent agenda minus item F.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Zwicker, seconded by Ms. Palmer, that council concur with the consent agenda minus item F. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Zwicker.
Yes, item F showed is the utility rates, and it was on the consent agenda to refer into the Utilities Committee. I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to refer that to Committee of the Whole.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Zwicker, seconded by Mr. Taylor, that item F in regards to the utility rates be referred to Committee of the Whole. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to unfinished business, Mr. Zwicker.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the Committee of the Whole has a committee report.
Committee of the Whole Committee Report. Impact Fees Update. The Committee of the Whole recommends concurrence with the staff recommendation to adopt an impact fees update with fees set well below the rates justified in the report, rate study for impact fees for transportation, parks, and fire protection, dated August 26, 2011. The fee increases will be phased in over 3 years, beginning in 2014. The committee further recommends that the ordinance regarding this matter be presented. This is signed by the council president.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Zwicker.
I move the council concur in the Committee of the Whole committee report.
It's been moved by Mr. Zwicker, seconded by Ms. Breyer. The council concur with the Committee of the Whole report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Breyer.
Yes, the Finance Committee has one report.
Finance Committee Report, Approval of Claims and Payroll Vouchers. The Finance Committee approves for payment on October 1st, 2012, claim vouchers 315-4 31506 through 315761, 3 wire transfers and 1 payroll run with benefit withholding payments totaling $6,661,761.95, and payroll vouchers include 776 direct deposits and 77 payroll checks totaling $1,610,979.41. This is signed by the 3 committee members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Breyer.
will the council concur with the Finance Committee report?
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Breyer, second by Mr. Taylor. The council concur with the Finance Committee report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Prince.
No, on no new business, unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Person.
No unfinished business.
Ms. Palmer.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Corman.
No unfinished business.
And Mr. Taylor.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to resolutions and ordinances. We have one ordinance for first reading.
Ordinance regards the fire protection parks impact fees. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, amending Section 41190 of Chapter 1, Administration and Enforcement of Title 4 Development Regulations of City Code by repealing Section 41190 and replacing it with a new Section 41190 entitled Impact Fees, authorizing the collection of impact fees for transportation, parks, and fire protection, providing findings and definitions, providing for the time of payment, providing exemptions and credits, providing for the establishment of impact fee accounts, refunds, and the use of funds provided for reviews and adjustments of impact fees, authorizing independent fee calculations, and setting a fee for appeals.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Zwicker.
move that this ordinance be placed on second and final reading at the next council meeting.
Second?
It's been moved by Mr. Zwicker, seconded by Ms. Breyer, that this ordinance be placed on second and final reading at the next council meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, moving on to new business. Mr. Zwicker.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to call out a couple of events taking place on Monday, October 8th, 2012. First is the Committee of the Whole meeting beginning at 5:15 here in council chambers. One item of discussion, that's the 2013-2014 utility rates. We plan then to adjourn at 6:15 p.m. and going over to the conferencing center for the Public Works Department Employee Recognition Reception. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Breyer?
Yes, the Finance Committee will meet next Monday, October 8th at 4:15 in the council conference room. We have 2 items, the third quarter budget amendments and the refinance of the 2004 water sewer bond revenue. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Prince?
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Person?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. No committee reports to announce. However, I would like to bring up the subject of last week we had a presentation on the use of the old jail, and I would like to have a tour of it to get the dynamics. I just can't figure it out from what we've been told so far. So
Okay, we'll arrange that. Any other council member interested in being included?
I would.
Yes.
Okay, we'll get a notice out to all of you.
Thank you.
And arrange that. Okay, Ms. Palmer?
Yes, the Community Services Committee, which would normally meet next Monday, October 8th, has been canceled. And then Tina came back in, and I just have a question for her, if you don't mind if I ask, Mr. Mayor. Downstairs on the display, you have each woman's name and a little bit of information, and then it also says that there is some education happening in the Renton high schools. Is there anything more you can tell us? That's more than, come on up to the podium. That's more than what was happening before?
What we were able to work on over the summer is to get a few members from the Scholl family and from the school district to basically have kind of a little focus group to address the concerns that they had with prevention and education in the school district. And we were able to meet with some of the health educators before school started over at the district office, and several of the health educators came and were interested in having prevention and education around the topic of dating violence presented in the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So what we've done is we've started, and I don't want to say we because I can't take responsibility, it is DAWN, the Domestic Abuse Women's Network, in conjunction with the educators in Lindbergh, Hazen, and in Renton, and they have teamed up together to get these presentations to the students in our community. So those will be starting this month in honor of October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and they're going to be going through October, November, December, and some of the health educators are also picking it up in the springtime. We've also been able to get with some of the cheer squads and the drill team and the football coaches, and there's a really good curriculum called Coaching Boys into Men and Identifying Abusive Relationships, and trying to empower men and young men to identify with their friends that might be getting themselves into situations that are not safe, and asking for help from professionals when needed. So we were very excited to see Renton moving in that direction. So yes, they will be in this.
Thank you. Thank you so much, because my understanding was before the only thing there was in school was at the senior level, and both Kathy Chow and Jessica never got to senior.
They didn't, unfortunately. And may I just make one point, is on behalf of the Chow family, they did make a phone call. They weren't able to attend, but they're very gracious for the City of Renton, the police department, and many others that assisted their family. But unfortunately, they had other plans for tonight. So I was going to mention that a little bit later, but thank you for the opportunity. So I'm hoping with prevention and education in schools, it's not 100% guarantee, but at least we can say we're moving in a direction that we're opening up the door for education and prevention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Taylor.
Tina, before you leave, for the benefit of the folks at home, could you mention the display that is on exhibit in our lobby? So for those who are at home, they would like to come and see and support this effort this month?
Absolutely. What it is it's a silent witness display, and the silent witness display is presented throughout all 50 states during the month of October. And Washington State actually has a traveling silent witness display whereby it is a silhouette of women and children and men and police officers that have been killed in the line of duty for police officers and domestic violence in their homes. We have traditionally had 13 silhouettes, and at various times would showcase the most recent cases that we've had either within our city or within our community. When I mean community, King County or Washington State. So each year they change and they evolve. And last year we were gracious enough to loan out 7 of our silhouettes to a neighboring city so that they could have a display similar to ours. Currently we have a display of 7 community members, actually 6 community members that have lost their lives due to domestic violence. And the other woman is also a person who has lost her life to domestic violence out of Tacoma. We also have a silent witness, which is basically letting our community members know that there is help available for victims of domestic violence, whether that's calling 911, that's informing family members, friends, priests, coaches, neighbors, whomever they identify as a safe person. Our goal is to keep asking or keep telling until somebody is able to assist them. So hopefully that answered your question. The names are all names of our community members here, and I do encourage people to come in and take some time and to look at them. And 2 of the members also, the silhouettes was one of my former co-workers, Bretta Hawkins, and her mother, Barbara. So they're displayed outside of the police entrance. We found it appropriate for them, both law enforcement officers, or a specialist and a correction officer that was murdered due to domestic violence. So I would encourage all community members to come and take a look at that. And if nothing else, they can put purple lights out at their residence in honor of domestic violence.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you.
Did you get a chance to announce your...
I did.
Okay.
My cancellation,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Corman?
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Taylor?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the Utilities Committee meeting that would normally be scheduled on October 8th at 5 p.m. will be canceled. That is
Okay.
all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Next is audience comment. Anybody would like to address the council? The wish of the council?
Will we adjourn? Second?
Moved by Mr. Person, second by Mr. Corman, that we adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.